I'm Casey Kerr, and welcome to Believe. Um, uh, uh, this is live TV, right? So I'm a little bit frazzled and bedazzled here, getting over allergies and a cold. Anyway, I am here to help you to strengthen your belief in yourself. Your belief in yourself, or what I call BIY, is the secret to you creating the life that you want to live. It's the secret to you creating, realizing, actualizing the dreams that you have, the ones that you want and the ones that you deserve. It's the fuel that you use to have the freedom to choose what you want to do, what you want to be, what you want to have, how you want to live. And it's what keeps you going when you hit challenges, when you hit snags, when you hit obstacles. Belief in yourself, belief in life is everything. It is the key to everything. And when you have that, you feel stronger than you ever thought you could. It's belief in yourself that's what allows people to lift cars, to save people underneath them. It's belief in themselves that allows people to cross that marathon finish line when they don't think they have anything left in them. It's that belief that keeps you going and keeps you persevering when it gets so hard that you just think you're completely out of steam. And believe it or not, it's actually what makes the world go round. Belief, trust is the currency of the universe. And it's what holds you together while you're waiting for what you're waiting for, right? So the lack of it is what keeps you stuck in your circumstances. The lack of it is what keeps you waiting for the circumstances to change to allow you to do the things that you want to do. And I can help you to discover and strengthen your belief in yourself so that you can use it to create the life that you want in every way, in your business, in your body, in your relationship with your everyone, with the most important people to you, your children, your spouse, your family, your friends, your clients, and the world, basically. So today we're going to talk about being stuck and what you can do to get unstuck. So let's look at some circumstances that you have where you're at a standstill. Maybe you're in a relationship that isn't moving forward. You're wanting to get married and your partner is not in the same place and you can't quite figure out how to make it move forward. Or you are waiting for that perfect prospect who's been on the line, dangling on the line, and you're waiting for them to finally say, yes, I'm ready to do this. Or there's a trip you want to take and you just don't have the money to do it. And you find yourself in that position where you're just kind of hurrying up and waiting. I'll be shocked if that doesn't sound familiar to you in some place in your life, because everybody that I know has something like that. So how does that feel when you're in that space? Well, it feels stuck, right? It makes you impatient. It makes you want it. It makes you feel like, oh, God, if this just one thing would just shift and move, then everything would fall into place and everything would be exactly where I want it to be. I've heard myself say that a million times. I don't know if that resonates with you or not, but I've definitely had this feeling that if I could just make this one thing happen, then everything else would move with it. So how do we make that happen? Because that is in our power, believe it or not. I know when you're in that state of waiting, it feels like you're not in control, you're not in charge, you're not in command, but you actually are. And today, I'm going to show you a very simple way to activate that. And I'm going to tell you that you may have heard some of this before, and it didn't click for you, because I've heard some of it before, and it never clicked for me because there were a couple of pieces that I was missing. And the reason I was missing those pieces is because a lot of the people who teach this already come from having sort of a positive outlook. Their internal compass is set to success, to ease. They believe ultimately that they're okay and that they're always supported and that there's always enough and that no matter what happens, they're going to be okay. And I didn't come by those beliefs naturally. And there are lots of people out there And maybe you're one of them, like me, who feel that same way. And you can recognize yourself because you're someone who worries. You worry a lot. You know what you want, you hope for something, but you're constantly in the state of, oh, well, we'll wait and see. Let's see what happens. I hope it happens. I'm really hopeful. I'm crossing my fingers. But you're not in a state of expecting that it's going to happen. And most of the people that teach this already have that predisposition. So they don't understand what it's like for people like me, and maybe for people like you, who don't have that fundamental trust, because that trust makes all the difference in the world. Their systems and their processes work for them because they have a level of trust and belief that I didn't have, and maybe you don't have either. And that's why when I took a lot of the programs that I took, that I spent $10,000 on and $12,000 on and $10,000 on and $5,000 on, why those programs didn't work for me, but they worked for the people in the programs with me. Not all of them, but some of them, because they already had that trust, that belief in life, that they were going to be okay. So they were able to take actions that I was just unable to take until now, because I've learned how to build that belief for myself. So to set this up, we're going to talk a teeny bit about co-creation. And I want to give you, you've probably heard that phrase before, but I want to give you a really practical way for you to understand that. And I just thought of this morning, so I'm really pumped to use it with you. So co-creation is the idea that you are creating something, you're bringing this to be, but you're not doing it on your own. The higher power, whether you believe it's God or the universe or life or nature, is also co-creating with you. I want to compare that to a 401k program, right? So when you work for a company who has a 401k program, you make a contribution, a small amount of money that you take out of your paycheck every week, and it goes into the 401k. When your employer has a matching program, they match whatever contribution you put in. And then what happens is compounding interest comes into play. So you put in money, they put in money for you, and then it takes a while before all of that is vested, right? Now, the magic of compounding interest happens, where based on time, the younger you are when you start this process, and the more you contribute on a regular basis, and the more they contribute with you, the more compounding interest does its magic, to where you can literally deposit, say, I don't know, like $25,000 over the course of 15 years. And they do the same for you. But that $30,000, because of the magic of compounding interest, turns into crazy amounts of money, like $300,000, $500,000, $1 million. We've all heard stories of how people have saved that money, and how, because of compounding interest, it has escalated exponentially. So I want you to compare that with co-creation, where you are taking some action and the higher power is responding in kind. And then through the magic that happens in life, and think of it as like the rock rolling down the hill, gathering the moss, or the snowball in the cartoons that gets bigger and bigger and bigger as it rolls down the hill, right? That's what happens in real life. You take some actions, your higher power, life, God, matches some of those actions, and then it creates momentum that just creates exponential results that you have no way of seeing. Now let's add to that the idea of profit sharing. Profit sharing, some companies do both, 401k matching and profit sharing, when they're very generous companies. So profit sharing works this way. The more you perform your duties, your responsibilities, the more you contribute the best of yourself to meet the goals for your department, your position, and the better the company does as a whole, they're sharing the profits with you. So it's not direct, necessarily one-to-one, right? It's not like you do an action and they give you money for it. It happens a little bit more slowly and a little less directly. But the better you perform, the more profit you share in. So remember those concepts and think of those when you think of the idea of co-creation, because there's some stuff that happens behind the scenes that you can't see, but it doesn't mean that that money isn't accumulating, right? Okay. So here's how the process usually works. There's something that you want. You want it badly, your desire. I'm going to call it your desire. Usually what happens is you have this desire in mind, and you look at your current circumstances and you say, I can't do that right now. Let's say it's because of money, because that's usually the most common reason. So you want to take a trip, or you want to sign up for a program that you think will really help you, but you don't have the money. So you say, okay, I just can't do it right now. I'm going to wait. And you wait. Now you're waiting for the circumstances to change. That's what happens. Nothing. Crickets. Because there's nothing to start the process. You've all heard that an object at rest remains at rest, while an object in motion remains in motion. Nothing's in motion when you wait. You just sit there. Now, what you've probably heard before is you have to take action. You have to take action. Well, that's true. You do have to take action. But here's one of those missing pieces. Here's one of those missing pieces. For the people who have that built-in trust and belief in life, who always know that they're going to be okay, that everything, even if the worst happens, is going to be okay. People who are not chronic worriers, right? People who, yeah, they have challenges, but they're not chronic worriers. Those people know that it takes action. For those of us who have the negative programming that you always hear me talking about, one of the things that we do is we can't picture a small beginning action. We automatically, because we have very high expectations of ourselves and very high standards, we automatically go from 0 to 60. We imagine that the action that we have to take is the ultimate action, the last step to what we want. So if it was that program or that trip, we think the action is book the trip, pay for the program, sign up for the program. And for some people, the people who have that built-in trust, they can do that because they have enough trust to carry them through where they actually are starting the co-creation process right that minute. And they're believing so strongly that that match and the compounding interest happens really quickly, and boom, the money shows up in some way, shape, or form. And we've all heard stories about that from people. And you may have even had an experience like that yourself, because for whatever reason, you were able to maintain that trust. So it might have been a fluke for you, because I've had that happen for me a couple of times before I had this trust consistently, right? So it does happen. But what happens to us normally is we think, okay, that's the action we have to take. And on the occasions when I've taken that action, I've done it, and then I've worried my pants off. And so, no, the money didn't show up, and I continued to worry, and I continued to worry, and the money still didn't show up. It's because I didn't have the trust. That's all. So what I'm suggesting is we do it a little bit differently, right? So the process needs to go like this. You're still going to have to wait. But we're waiting, we're going to do something before we wait. Here's the desire. I want to do this. Now, if you go right from desire to waiting, you stay in a state of want. When you're in a state of want, what happens? Every time you think about the thing you want, you feel crappy about it. You feel bummed out that you don't have it. You might get to blame yourself, blame somebody else, blame life. You get resentful, you get bummed out, you get depressed, you get discouraged. You start to wonder if it's ever going to happen. Instead of being up here emotionally where you feel really happy and free and enthusiastic and joyful and grateful, you instead feel like at best middle of the road. And at worst, you're feeling low, you're feeling bad, you're feeling depressed, you're feeling bummed out, you're feeling blame, you're feeling anxious, you're feeling worry, you're feeling resentment. When you're in a state like that, you can't create the good stuff up here. You just can't. You have to get up here first. So when you're down here, the only circumstances that you can create are going to match this emotional level. So the number two reason, or the number two thing that happens that keeps us in that state is, like I was saying, trust is the currency of the universe. Belief is the currency of the universe. So when you don't, I know you probably believe in your own gifts and abilities, but you see yourself in the future being able to use those in a bigger way. That's not the same thing as believing in yourself in this moment and making choices and taking actions based on what you know you can do in this moment. They're two different things, right? So when you don't have that trust in life, then nothing changes, nothing moves, right? It's not magical. It's actually very practical when you think of it this way. If you're not trusting that you're going to be okay, then whatever you put out there is not going to be the biggest, most inspirational, most motivational version of yourself. It's going to be something a little bit more constricted, a little bit more held back, a little bit quieter, a little bit smaller. That's what they mean by playing it small, is that you need to trust and feel totally safe so that you can put yourself out there in the biggest way. And it's only when you put yourself out there in the biggest way that you inspire other people to realize they can do that too, right? And when you're asking people, like in the case of a business, or in the case of getting married, right? If you're waiting for someone to commit to you in that way, you got to be able to put yourself out there in a way out of your comfort zone into your expansion zone that allows the other person on the other side to trust that they can do it too. So if you're doing this, that's not inspiring them to step out of their comfort zone into their expansion zone, right? So it's very practical. The third thing is, when you focus on what you want to avoid, what you're afraid of, more than what you want, then that's where you're putting all of your attention and energy. Those are the thoughts, those are the words, and those are the actions that are coming out of you. And that's all that, the higher power, God, the universe, nature, life has to work with. So that's why the circumstances stay on that level. It's like with the 401k. If you're not putting any money into the 401k, then your employer can't match anything. If you're putting in, 0.0001%, then that's all your employer's going to put in. So that's not going to be that much. It's going to take a lot longer for that to start to add up and for compounding interest to start working its magic, right? So you can see a very practical way that this works. So how do we do it instead? Because that's the real question. How we do it instead is that first we have the desire. Now, instead of going from desire to, I can't do it right now, I'll wait and see, you say, okay, desire. I look at my current circumstances. Yeah, I can't do it right now. I don't have the money. But I am choosing. This is the key. I am choosing in this moment that I am doing that. I am having that. I am being that. That fucking trip is mine. I am marrying that guy. This is happening, right? Whatever it is, you make the choice. You make the decision in that moment. Now, it doesn't mean, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. So that's step number 2. Desire, choice. Now, step 3 is we take the action. And this is the part where you've probably gotten hung up before, or maybe you've been led astray before. And here's where I'm going to tell you, this is where it gets different for people like us who have this struggle perspective, this struggle compass, is that we, instead of taking the big ultimate action, booking the whole trip right this minute, or signing up for that $10,000 program that we don't have the money for. Instead of doing that right now, here's what we do instead. Because we don't have the trust level to pull that off yet. And it's that trust level that triggers us into worry, right? So instead of putting ourselves in that position, we give ourselves time to build up that trust muscle and that belief muscle, that BIY. So instead of taking the big ultimate action, you take a small action. And if it's not obvious to you right this minute what that action is, sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't obvious. If it's obvious to you, then you go ahead and take that action. Maybe in the case of the trip, the small action would be that you start to look online and you research flights, you research hotels, you start to see what's out there. You find out what deals are available. What's the best time to get the best deals? Where are the best places where you can find the best deals, right? So research could be your first action. And so you take that little action. If you don't know what the action is, then you ask. You ask yourself. You do it in a meditation. You do it in a prayer. You do it in your journal. You do it as you're going for a walk. You do it in a way where you're quiet and where you have an opportunity to be calm and for the best part of you, the wisest part of you, the creative part of you to give you the answer. Or you wait for God to give you the answer. Or life, universe, whatever you consider the higher power to be. But you can only get there when you quiet your brain down. So you ask, what's my first step? What is my first action toward this? And then you wait and you listen. You watch. You feel. You will get a sense of it. Something will come to you. Somebody will send you an email. Somebody will mention something. You'll remember something. You'll see something on TV. There will be some hint somewhere that points you toward that first beginning action. And then we do step number 4. We take the action, whatever it is. Whatever that little action is, you take it. And then you say, okay, I know that that little action is going to start to move the circumstances. So this is where we wait. Now we wait. But we don't just wait and see and get all glum. We wait with an excited anticipation that we have taken action and something is about to shift. So you know when your birthday is about to approach. You don't know what you're going to get, but you know your birthday's coming, right? Bring yourself back to childhood you. Or you think about Christmas if you celebrate Christmas. Or any other occasion for you where, as a child, or even as who you are now, you know what it's like, that something is coming. You don't know what it is, but you know something is coming, and you can get yourself into that state of anticipation, expected, curious anticipation. Very different from worry, very different from hope. It's an expectation. The reason I ask you to compare it to something you know is so that you'll have a like a checkpoint, a balance point, where you'll understand. You'll know. Okay, this is the state that I'm talking about. So you keep yourself in that state, and then you ask again, what's my next action? What's the next action that I can take? And during this time, you repeat that same process over and over again as many times as it takes. And I will tell you this. This process can take you 2 days. It can take you 2 weeks, 2 months, might be 2 years. The part that speeds it up and slows it down is your level of belief and trust in yourself and in life. So as you strengthen your trust and as you strengthen your BIY, that's what speeds up the process. And as you keep asking your highest self, God, the universe, life, nature, your angels, what the action is, and you take it and you keep doing that, you work your way up. So you're still waiting. You're still waiting for the circumstances to line up to make it okay for you to make the move. But now you're in control because you're the one who's creating the momentum that shifts those circumstances instead of waiting for it to happen to you. Okay? So here's my call to action to you. My call to action to you is right now, close your eyes and think about something that you want badly. something that you have put off or said no to, you put a pin in it, you're already waiting and seeing about it. Think of that. Or think of something new. Makes no difference. But come up with something that you want and that your current circumstances won't allow you to do, be, or have right now. You got it? Okay. Now, with me, make the choice. Choose it. Say, it is mine. It is mine. I am having this. It is happening. Own it. Feel it. Take it. Right? Grab it. Pull it in tight to you. You've made the choice. Now you're not in want anymore. You are in a state of expectation. Okay? So from this state of expectation, you're going to ask. Now, some of you might already know, what is one little step, your beginning step, just a beginning step, a single step that you can take? And this action that you can take could come in the form of a conversation. It could be an email you send. It could be research that you do. It could be a text message that you send to someone. It could be an invitation that you accept or something that you say no to. It could be an invitation that you extend. It might be buying a book. It could be reaching out to someone who has a connection with someone else. The action could be a million different things. The action could also be just the simple act of being, where you are looking at patterns that you've had in this, and you find out what the lesson is, and you're like, okay, that's where I made a mistake. As long as you are moving something, as long as you are expanding, that is an action. So it doesn't have to be, here's my credit card, because if you don't have the trust to support that, then it's only going to trigger worry. So what is the little action that you can take? And if you don't know what it is, if it's not obvious, then this is where you get very quiet. You go for a walk. You pick up your journal. You do a meditation. You close your eyes. And if you can't do it right this minute, that's okay. Make 5, 10, 15 minutes to do it later on today, because it's important. You are important. You matter, and what you want matters. So you ask for that action, and then you take it. Quick, quick. Don't waste any time. Take the action. Because the inspired actions that we receive are never gigantic. They're never really big or incredibly laborious. It's always one single thing, but it's always just a step forward into your comfort zone, out of your comfort zone, into your expansion zone. That's what starts the movement. So, I cannot wait to hear what your actions are, and then keep repeating that sequence, right? So you ask, you wait in faith, and then you ask again, and you keep paying attention, and you watch the circumstances shift. And as they start to shift, whatever little shifts happen, you stop and you celebrate and you express great gratitude for it. And you use that to build your trust, because that is evidence, right? That's evidence, and that starts to feel good. Now, what might happen is that, well, you know what? I'm not going to go there. I'll save that for another show. Just watch for the evidence and celebrate it when it shows up. And when it does, express great gratitude, and then ask for the next action, and keep doing that. And the more you do it, and the stronger your belief and trust is along the way, the faster the momentum happens. The faster it happens, the faster the circumstances change to allow you to do what you want. Okay? All right. So I will tell you that if you need help building your trust and building your belief, building your confidence and your courage, because that's hard. That's the hardest part. That's the part that I struggled with for so long. That's the part that you're missing. That's really it. That's preventing the clarity. It's preventing you from taking the steps forward, and it's preventing you from radiating and shining out there in the way that attracts all that you want to you. If you need help with that, I'm here to help you. I have been bleeding, sweating, and crying for the last 10 years to learn how to do this, and I know how to do it. And it's working for me, and it's changing my life in miraculous ways. And the more people I share this with, the better it feels. The more magic that happens, because it's exponential, right? I have a program that's launching called Unstoppable You, and we're launching on May 9th. And you can start this program for as little as $97 a month. So keep your peeks out. I'll be sending more information out about this. And we're also doing a challenge in the next day or two called Choose Change Challenge, where we're going to be playing this game that I taught you today. And I'm going to do it with you. And I'm going to coach you along the way via our Facebook group so that you can get direct feedback and help you stay on track with this. So pick something that you're really excited about, that you're so thrilled to experience, and let's do it together. All right. Thank you so much for being here and doing this with me and growing with me and trusting me. And I promise you that you can do this. I believe in you, and I'm going to help you to believe in yourself. Until next time, big hugs and a big roar. Casey Kerr out. Have a great day.